It's wonderful to be here with you today. I'm Maggie Levenstein. I'm the director of ICPSR, and it is my pleasure, my honor to present to you the 2025 State of the ICPSR Consortium. I'm going to go through and just tell you what we've been up to here at ICPSR, and some of the new things, some of the ongoing things, and then at the end I'm happy to take your questions. So as I said, welcome to the 2025 State of the Consortium. Overall, I have to tell you, the consortium is doing really well. These are interesting times that we are in. They are busy times. But I'm actually really happy to be able to share with you that ICPSR is strong and thriving in these times. ICPSR's membership is stable, both in terms of the number of institutions and in terms of the revenue, which is so critical to ICPSR's activities. The ICPSR summer program continues to shine on and in new places. I'll tell you more about that, but we continue here in Ann Arbor and as a hybrid option, which we have had since the pandemic. And we're also doing some new things that we'll tell you about that are really very exciting. Our sponsored funding continues to be strong. We have been weathering the storms of sponsored funding. I'll tell you more about that when we get to the budget, but you'll see what our sponsored funding looks like. But we have been really lucky and to have continued support from the National Science Foundation and the National Institutes of Health, as well as a number of private foundations. We have had some terminations and cuts as the federal agencies have dealt with their own changes, but for the most part, I think everyone recognizes how critical it is to continue to have data sharing and data access for the scientific enterprise, and we've really had strong support to continue that. ICPSR staffing is stable. We've grown an enormous amount over the last half a dozen years, and we're stable now. Our deposits, however, of data continue to grow, and you'll see that. We've been doing a lot of revamping of our infrastructure to improve the user experience and to make ICPSR more sustainable in the face of ongoing rapid technological change, to both make our processes more efficient and to take advantage of the new opportunities from technology. We have been working very hard to preserve valuable government data to make sure that it remains accessible to the research data community and to the broader community. And we'll tell you more about that and how you can help with that if you are inclined. And finally, I just want to say thank you to all of you. I can't see your faces right now, but I love seeing the numbers as they increase as you all log on. We could not do what we do. We would not be who we are without all of our ORs and our DRs and the broader data community. You are part of our mission. You make our mission worthwhile. And we are grateful to you for all that you do to support data access and high quality social science research, data-driven social science research. So thank you to all that you do for social science research, and thanks for making our jobs more fun because we get to work. As I said, the ICPSR membership was stable. We ended the year with 828 members last year, which was a net increase of 8 from the previous year. ICPSR's membership has not declined in over 20 years. So you can see there's variations in growth every year, but we've had stable growth. we are looking at a period in which we know that many universities, and many colleges, many research institutions, are, under, financial pressure, changes in enrollment, changes in research funding, um, that mean that some institutions, we may see a decline in membership. We're preparing for that. We also work, and as I hope all of you know, we work really, really hard to make sure that, our members are able to stay members. And if you are concerned about your membership fees, if you are concerned about whether or not the people on your campus understand the value of ICPSR data, please reach out to us. We are happy, to work with you, in making sure that people on your campus are aware of all of the valuable resources that that your membership, makes available, and to, make sure that, that you're getting the best possible return on your investment in your membership in this consortium. We continue to, presenting here the membership classifications, according to the different kinds of institutions that belong to, ICPSR. As you can see, we have a very substantial international membership, and we're really pleased to be not just a US institution, but a global institution that is supporting, social science and data-driven research, and educational activities, globally. About 40% of our members reside outside of North America. For our institutions are outside North America. That group represents, only about 5 to 6% of our revenues, of our membership revenues, but they contribute to all of us by making a stronger and more resilient, social science research community. And, we're really pleased to host data from around the world as well, and to be able to make sure that the data about the people of the world and the communities of the world is available, to our members around the world. Almost all, I mean, that's the bottom of that table. At the top of the table, those are the R1s, the research universities, and almost all research universities in the United States are members of ICPSR. And we're really happy that we are seen as such a central part of the research enterprise for those institutions. We also have enormous value for people who, are teaching about data and learning about data, and we love to work with, institutions, that are not research intensive, but have researchers who, need access to data, and have instructors and students who want to learn about what it is to work with real data. So we're proud of our membership growth, and we're pleased to be able to work with all of you. One of the features, one of the things, the services that we offer to our members and to others, some members get a benefit, from participating, is our summer program. This was our 63rd ICPSR Summer Students Camp. We had over 1,100 participants, who were in the program this summer. There were about half of them were in our 3-week. Actually, this says 3 week, but those 3 weeks. No wonder we've now gone back to 4-week sessions. It's a 3 weeks plus 1 week. Math intensive stints, and we about half of our participants, are in either those longer sessions, and the other half participate in, short workshops, which could be a couple of days or a week. We offer on-campus housing during those longer sessions, and about half of our participants are now coming in person and living on campus. You don't have to live on campus if you come in person, but it makes it much easier for people who are coming from out of town. We also continue, as I said, to offer, remote options. So people who, can't come to Ann Arbor for that period, have the option of participating remotely, whether that's because of the cost or the difficulties in travel. We love when people are able to come, but we do lots and lots of things to make it possible for people to have a full experience if they're participating remotely. For many of you, we want to highlight that the Delivering Data Services course is back. This is a course that we have offered, a short course that we offered during the summer program for many years. That's really targeted for our ORs and others who deliver data services to their research and educational community. And we revamped it this year. We have 3 new instructors, and it has some of there is an in-person part, but mostly it is online. And maybe it's even all online, but it's a great chance for you to meet other ORs and others who are in the data services profession and learn how to make use of ICPSR resources even better. So we're happy that that's back, and if you have questions about that, about doing that next year, please let us know. As always, we offer a large number of scholarships for participation in the summer program. If you have students or faculty who are interested in participating in the summer program, encourage them to come, encourage them to apply for scholarships. We can't, or the demand certainly exceeds the number of scholarships that we can offer, but we really do our best to make it possible for everyone who wants to participate to do so. Because we know that sometimes it's hard for people to come to Ann Arbor, we have been trying to develop other alternatives. And one of them that we're really excited to tell you about is the ICPS summer program that went on tour, went to Norfolk State University in Virginia. Norfolk State is a historically Black college of about 5,500. It's about 5,500 students, most of whom are undergraduates. Over 7% of the total population of students, enrolled students at Norfolk State, applied to participate in the summer program at Norfolk State. So over almost 400 say kids. That's a sign of how old I am. 400 people applied to participate, and 74 were able to join the cohort. They had both in-person workshops and online modules, and really got the ICPSR summer experience through this. They also Norfolk State has joined as a member. So now the program is over, all those folks who've had their training in statistical methods are able to access ICPSR data and use it to keep using the skills that they've developed in their studies, in their research, if they're applying for grants, and really supporting Norfolk State's pursuit of R2 research status as they try and lift what they do for both their faculty and students. So we were really, it was the testimonials from the participants were really moving, and we're really proud of being able to offer this kind of opportunity in the summer program for these students. If you or your institution is interested in something like this, then please reach out to us. We're talking to a number of institutions about trying to take the summer program on the road. We're talking about building the data superhighway, and they're getting on that highway and going to you. We also were really pleased to have the ICPSR biannual meeting here in Ann Arbor in June. It was usually, this is a fall activity, but as some of you may know, particularly if you are from the PAC, what we used to be formerly known as the Pac-10, there's been was big change in the Big Ten football schedule that made it difficult, just added some challenges to scheduling things in the fall. And we thought, well, let's try it summertime. Summertime is a beautiful time in Ann Arbor. And so we had it in June. We will have the next biennial meeting will be in 2027. I think you're gonna get a survey. If you are an OR, you will get a survey pretty soon asking about your preferences for the season, the month of the year that we should do that in 2027. But we hope that you will make plans to come to that with them. We had over 40 ORs came. We had 21 first time attendees. There were over 100 people overall who came to the biennial. The longest flight was from the OR from Academia Sinica in Taiwan. The very first, we let those eager beavers, registration for the meeting was from the OR from George Washington University. If you would like to be highlighted in the 2027 biennial, please make your plans to come. You don't need to go far away. You just need to register and join. So it was a great time for us to hear from you and to share with folks what we've been doing here at ICPSR. To give you a picture, obviously the critical thing that people love about ICPSR is all of our data. And we now have almost 90,000 data set holdings. This includes about almost 75,000 data sets that are on demand, and you can, as ICPSR members, you can download them just by double clicking on them. About 6,000 of them are restricted generally for confidentiality purposes, and that require an application and doing the work in some kind of a secure computing area, either a local computing area or in ICPSR's virtual or physical data enclave, depending on the data, the sensitivity. We have over 10,000, actually almost 11,000 self-published data. So those are primarily data sets that are associated with publications. Sometimes they're parts of a journal repository, and sometimes they're parts of ICPSR's own open ICPSR self-publishing repository to make it possible for researchers who want to share their data that's associated with a journal article or a grant or something that they've done, to put that someplace where others can get access to that data to reproduce their results, to expand on their research and continue to build on the science. So we continue to have those self-published data. We are shifting to a model in which we will be making available this deposit, so data on demand, that is to say self-publishing data. You deposit the data, you get your DOI instantaneously or close to that. Will become a membership benefit. So unless it's for a journal that's sponsored, that's going to be a key part of the membership benefits. So if you know that you're serving researchers who have a requirement to share their data, either because of a publication or because of their funding, or because they are motivated to share their data, let them know that as ICPSR members, they can always use this facility, and others, the data will be preserved and will be accessible. There are now 120,000, almost 120,000 publications in our bibliography of data-related publications. These are publications that use and analyze ICPSR data. There are almost 7 million variables in our variables database. If you have a researcher, you are looking for something on a topic, that SSVD, that social sciences variables database is a great place to start. That and the bibliography are great places to look for research ideas and data sets that will allow you to pursue those ideas. Last year, 920 and fiscal 25, that says fiscal 25, so when I say last year, that means from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. Last year, 923,085 data sets were downloaded from ICPSR. They were downloaded by 42,985 different people. Those are people who have active research passports. and almost 700,000 people visited our website last year. These deposit numbers include almost 800 new deposits that have come in 2025 to Data Lumos. I'm going to tell you more about Data Lumos in a minute, but Data Lumos is a long-standing repository that we've had for almost 10 years now. That is ICPSR's crowdsourced archive for government data, to make sure that government data, public use government data that's on a government website, to make sure that it is preserved so that researchers can access it in the future. As I mentioned, ICPSR has grown quite a bit. We all went through this period in which we were fully remote. We were actually growing quite a bit while we were remote. We now have I would say, a hybrid workforce in which a large fraction of our staff is in the office 3 days a week. Some people like me and the leadership of the of the consortium is really here on site almost all the time. But the rest of the staff is hybrid, or there's some people who are still fully remote. We have about 107 people working for the consortium. Our membership revenues have been stable at a little over, so between $4 and $5 million, almost $5 million last year. We are planning for almost $5 million again in membership revenue next year. We have ended the year with a positive balance each of the last 4 years. It's incredibly important for ICPSR's overall fiscal resilience for us to have a positive balance. Our membership revenue, as you can see, is about $5 million. We also have other important revenue sources, including grants and sponsored archives and the summer program. So our total budget is about $30 million. There's a lot of uncertainty in that because of changes in funding for the social sciences and for the sciences generally. And in fact, there's also some known, we have some very large federally funded grants that we know are going to be wrapping up. So we have been trying to plan, we have been planning for that in our financial and strategic planning to make sure that we have resources that will allow us to maintain our activities as we go forward. So we are planning to have a surplus about $400,000, again, on a $30 million budget at the end of 2026. Obviously, this depends a lot on what happens in other areas, and it's not just on all of you and the membership revenue also. But as I say, we provide, ICPSR provides really valuable services that our funders appreciate and hope for them. As you can see, this shows the number of awards that we have received over the last 15 years, and the total value of the new awards for things that are awarded each year. So you can see this is increased quite substantially over the last 5 years, and that's been great. We do expect that we will see some declines given the our situation, and but that we will be able to maintain ICPSR's fiscal strength. I was telling you about sort of the data that we got last year and counting those data sets. We thought we'd give you a little bit of a highlight of what is coming into the consortium archive team, as we now call it, in the next year. So that everybody, I hope, knows this is data. Jeff, I don't know if you can see my under, this is Data Jeff. Data Jeff has been working very, very hard to make more data available to you, and Data Jeff needs help. So Data Jeff Aramov was helping Data Jeff bring data to you. Data that we're expecting just be available to you now. Includes things like the data from Zillow. Zillow creates amazing Z-Tracks data that researchers have been using to analyze everything from changes in the housing crisis and changes in the wealth distribution and changes in how people are living and it's a Zillow has, I think, been really remarkable in its commitment to try to make those data available. I mean, obviously making data available for pay, not for research, is their business model, but they've also really been committed to making the data available for research purposes, not just helping you find your house to buy or sell. But it's a big job to make data available to researchers. That's not their core business. It is what the consortium is for. And so Zillow has come to ICPSR and asked us to help them make these data available to you. I'm excited about that. We also have the COVID measures archive, which is been getting data from researchers who've been creating new data related to COVID, to where there were lockdowns, to where there were mandates and requirements, to how people responded and what their attitudes and beliefs were during COVID. And those data are in the archive. There's also a lot of information there about how to measure both behavior and policy responses and economic outcomes and biological outcomes, physical outcomes to epidemics that we maybe we'll hope we never have an epidemic like that again, but that we think are really useful to people in thinking about when you're designing studies in the future, looking to see the measures that were used in the past and our best practice. It makes the data collection process more efficient, and it makes the data more useful. So the COVID measures archive has just done a fabulous job of that. Meta, that's Facebook, right, is providing access to their some of their data through an API, the Meta Content Library. So you can apply for access to that through ICPSR, and the staff of our social media archive are really happy to support you and your researchers in figuring out how to use that data and how to get access to it. We had over 300 new data releases last year, so this is just a tiny bit of what is coming and what we've released. There's lots more if you're not subscribed to the new release, the new releases they come out every week. And encourage you to keep an eye out so that you know about the new resources available all the time. We have new stuff, we have old stuff that includes. So we have, those are the things I was just talking about, things in the consortium archive. We also have our sponsored topical archives, and two of our long-standing topical archives are our NACJD, our criminal justice data archive, and NADAP, our mental health, sorry, not mental health, substance abuse. They sometimes are connected anyway, archive. And they continue to grow in their resources that are available to you, both public use and restricted data. They have, and I encourage you to look to them, to again, they have regular webinars, not just these two, but our aging archive, our demography and child and family data archives. There's just an enormous amount of resources for you with new kinds of data and new topics. So please keep an eye out for that. As I said, we've been investing a lot over the last several years at ICPSR in improving our updating our infrastructure and the security of our systems. Unfortunately, we live in a world in which we actually have to continually invest in security because there are continual problems that arise, and in order to be able to make data available to you, not just the restricted data, which is which has a lot of security, but even our public use data, and making sure that that data is safe and that that data is reliable and it is what we tell you it is. There's a lot of investments in security. We have been reinventing the platform, a data superhighway that supports the research data life cycle from when you give us data, when we ingest that data from individual researchers or from data producers or from statistical agencies or foundations. So as we curate that data, to do that in a more efficient way and a more timely way, to dissemination, to make it easier for the data, to find the data, to look at the data and figure out if it works for you, find the data that is necessary for your research. So we're thinking about that entire data pipeline, making it more user-friendly, more sustainable, and more efficient. And making sure that it supports the kinds of data that researchers are using. So when we get Z-Tracks data from Zillow, when we get content data from Meta that are people's social media posts, the formats of those data, the scale of those data are very, very different from the American National Election Study, which was the data set that the survey that started ICPSR. We continue to make ANES available to you, but we know that even ANES is now collecting social media data because we need that data to understand people's political behavior and attitudes. You need to be able to work with that data and to find that data to manage that data. So that's part of what this platform allows us to do. Again, keeping data safe, improving, streamlining access to confidential data. Sometimes you don't have time at all. You want the data that is available right now, but lots and lots of questions that people want require knowing more about where somebody lives or linking data sets, integrating data sets, and that requires access to confidential data. We want to be able to provide that to you. We do provide that to you, but we need to do that in a secure way. But we know that that creates hurdles, and we're trying to reduce those barriers while maintaining security. As always, we are committed to making data fair and to the CARE principles. So there are federal data sharing requirements that probably all of you have heard about or have been living through, but we're not about, we certainly want to help you satisfy those mandates. But our mission is not about those mandates. Our mission goes well beyond those mandates. Our mission is about making data findable, accessible, interoperable, reusable, and ethically responsible, so that the people who are in those data sources feel like they're being treated ethically, that they understand how the data is being used, and people who that the people who are represented in data their voices are heard in the research process. That's really important to us. One of the things which you have seen as a result of this investment in new infrastructure is an entirely new ICPSR website. There's a lot of research going into designing this website, especially research with our users to understand how people use our data site, whether they're looking for data or whether they're looking for other resources. So now you can see we have separate data site searches in that very top and click on search. We've also simplified things so that it's easier to find things, and it's also easier for us to maintain. And if there's an FAQ about something about restricted data or a data set, or a process or about some program, those things are that content is consistent across our entire site. That actually makes it not just easier for you to find things and use the information, but it also makes it less expensive for us to maintain. And we're trying to keep the costs of your membership down, and we do that by making the ICPSR platform as sustainable and as efficient as possible. I want to thank you. Oh, actually, just one more thing. So I have to say, I love the new site. If you have, there are still updates that are going on. So if you find something that you have questions about, contact user support at the bottom. If there's something that you can't find that is valuable to you, you know, contact us, let us know. If there's something that you love about the site, please contact us and let us know that too. Our staff work incredibly hard to make this work for you and for your community. If you have feedback to them, please share them too. In addition to thanking our great staff who built that site, I also want to thank the ICPSR Council. These are your representatives who serve as the governing body of ICPSR. And these are the folks who've been on the council for the last 2 years, some of them for 4 years. And we will, for those who are leaving us, we especially want to thank them. We have new people coming on, 6 new members joining. Well, one of them is not new. Randy Aki has served on council previously, but was actually not able to serve his full term because for 2 of the years he was serving on the Council of Economic Advisors to the President of the United States. And because they don't allow conflicts of interest, he had to recuse himself from council during that period. Now he is back. Well, he returned to UCLA. He's now at Harvard University and he is back. Pleased with that. Sally Ann Ashton will be joining council. Mr. Togo, Victor Kellum, Wendy Manning, Julia Stoyanovich will all be joining council in the middle of 2026. The council, in addition to, we've been changing the cadence of council meetings a little bit. So the next council meeting will be in October, and you will get your slate. I guess we actually completed the slate back in January, but because of the cadence of council, they won't actually join until next year. And Courtney Bell from the University of Wisconsin, who is coming on council, will be the new council chair. So thanks to all of you. I've mentioned a little bit about Data Lumos. Data Lumos is a self-publishing repository. Anyone can come in and deposit data to us. It will be preserved and made available to the research community immediately. We now have almost 900 data sets in Data Lumos. The purpose of Data Lumos is to make sure that data sets, primarily data sets from the federal government, but in general from statistical agencies and from other sources that may not be preserved are preserved so that researchers can continue to have access to them and the broader data community can have access to them. There was a lot of concern, particularly this winter when both the Centers for Disease Control and the U.S. Census Bureau sites went down altogether, as well as many other federal government sites, that many data sets that people had relied on accessing through just public federal websites would no longer be available. Most of those websites are now back up. Sometimes the data have also been restored. Sometimes the data are moved. There are really a lot of changes in data accessibility and data collection that are ongoing in our in the US statistical system. And so we have been making sure that when there's a risk the data set is going to not be available in the future, that we do preserve it here in ICPSR. In addition to those 900 data sets that are in Data Lumos, ICPSR has another 1,400 data sets. They're actually not data sets, they're entries in Dropbox. Sometimes they are many data sets. Sometimes they are zip files, sometimes they are duplicates of other things that have been that ICPSR staff were concerned about and that we've been saved. We have gradually been moving these Dropbox files from Dropbox into Data Lumos. In addition, there have been some agencies that knew that they weren't going to have the staff to retain data that they had, and they've transferred that data to us. So USAID does hundreds of surveys all across Africa and other places in the world, and those data have been transferred to ICPSR. Some of those are already available on Data Lumos, and there are a couple hundred more that will become available soon. Similarly, the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health has lost a lot of its staff that supports its data. Those data copies of them transferred to us and are being made available through Data Lumos. In addition, this is not Data Lumos, but there are about 6,700 reports or other kinds of publications that use ICPSR data that are in ICPSR's bibliography of data related publications, but that are not in regular academic journals. They were available only through or primarily through federal websites that are being decommissioned. So we have saved about 6,700 of those PDFs of research using ICPSR data, and we will be making those available through the ICPSR site associated with our bibliography. Obviously, when these data come in, there's a lot of work to do. As I said, sometimes especially people are sort of like lots of different people are downloading data, you get duplicates. So there's a lot of review that's going on. We've been working very closely with the Data Rescue Project and our collaborators in the Data Rescue Project, and the other organizations that together the Data Rescue Project. They have a wonderful portal where you can let them know about data that is that you think is at risk, and you can also look for data that and see if it's already been preserved someplace else, because we don't need to have people keep downloading the same data sets over and over and over again, and just instead, if those data, so you can see if they've been preserved, and if so, where they are. So if you're looking for data, you can look in Data Lumos, you can look in the Data Rescue Project portal. I'm going to encourage you to do that. If you know about data that you think is at risk, please let us know, let the Data Rescue Project know. If you have researchers who come and they say, I was using these data and they're no longer available where they were, please let us know that too. If the data are not available, the research community has a lot of these data sets, and we would encourage them to just put the data, make those data available for others through Data Lumos. We've also been trying to clean up the metadata. Many of you are librarians who know how to do this well. We've been having hackathons. If you're interested in participating and helping in this, the Data Rescue Project announces those, ICPSR announces those. Please let us know if you're interested. We've also been doing fundraising to cover the costs of this activity. I have to say we've gotten hundreds of individual donations that have given not an enormous amount of money, but several $1,000s to ICPSR to support this. And it really was kind of shocking. We were getting donations just out of the blue from people. And we have members since asked people to help support this effort. There are also some foundations that have reached out that have actually supported Data Lumos, created it a number of years ago to support those activities. So it's but this is largely supported by the consortium to make sure that the data that researchers get access to is preserved and accessible. we get to celebrate things at ICPSR. I love to celebrate things. Partly because it's an excuse to communicate, but also because it's an excuse to celebrate the wonderful people that we get to work with. At the biennial meetings this year, we recognized, we gave 4 awards. I was gonna say 4 people, but the first one did not go to a person. The Piper Simmons Data Contributor of the Year went to the Oregon Social Learning Center for its Oregon Youth Study. They've been depositing these data at ICPSR for years. They are wonderful to work with. Our staff nominated them, like, these are our depositors that we love. So we're really happy to honor them. The Warren Miller Award for Meritorious Service to the Social Sciences went to Bob Groves, who is currently the president of Georgetown University, was previously the provost, previously the director of the U.S. Census Bureau, and before that, he was the director of the Survey Research Center and a professor here at the University of Michigan. He has been an enormous advocate for social science data in the statistical community, for improving access to and rigorous scientific use of non-design data, found data, big data, and we are really happy. He's served on and he's been very involved in the sort of evidence, the commission that led to the Evidence Act that has improved data sharing policies across the entire U.S. statistical system. So we are really pleased to honor Bob in this way. The Flanagan Award for Distinguished Service as an ICPSR representative went to Stephanie LeBou, who is one of the instructors in our revamped, revised data services course. She is also the mother of Data Jeff, who, as you saw, is our favorite data advocate. And if you don't know Data Jeff, please let me know. We will send you a Data Jeff. Finally, we had a special ICPSR's Directors Award this year for Catherine Wallman. Catherine was serving on the ICPSR Council at the time of her passing. For many, many years, decades, she served as the Chief Statistician of the United States in the United States Office of Net Budget, representing the U.S. statistical system to the world and helping to get our diverse and dispersed statistical system to work together to improve the quality and accessibility of our data. She also was very active in the American Statistical Association, particularly around data literacy. And I can't tell you, I mean, I miss Catherine every day. I think, oh, I want to be able to ask her questions. She was a really special, leader who we were grateful was willing to devote her time in her retirement to ICPSR. Lastly, we actually didn't give this at the biennial awards, but we have just announced ICPSR's Innovator of the Year. This is an internal award that ICPSR gives. And this year, ICPSR's administration team got the award for creating an improved tool which helps us with financial planning and forecasting. This became really, really important when we were getting notices that, projects that we thought were going to go on for a couple of years were getting terminated. Oh no, they weren't getting terminated, or they were getting terminated, or they were getting changed. And we needed to understand what that was going to mean so that we could plan to keep ICPSR viable in a changing world. And they have just done amazing work, and we're really excited to honor, pleased to be able to honor them and to use their tool. So shout out to everyone. We also honored 2 universities and their students with the student competition, which it used to be a research paper, but we are hip and we are with the times. So our student competition is for videos that synthesize information about an ICPSR data set and create something less than 2 minutes. And the 2025 winner was from Stony Brook University, and the runner-up was Marymount, I believe, of Southern California. You know, take a look at those videos and think about your students who are doing things like this, but them encourage them to compete next year. We have some upcoming events that we want to let you know about. The new data services course will they'll have their capstone projects, and we're going to be doing a webinar to present those capstone projects on November 13th. The communications scholarship entry, that's the competition I was just talking about. Those entries are due to February 23rd. So there's plenty of time to make that 2-minute video, let your students know about that. The ICPSR summer program scholarship applications will be due in late February. We are always going to have booths at professional meetings, give presentations, professional meetings, see our website for our list. The new website has a great way to search for events. I put a link to that in there. I also want to say Love Data Week, which we have been International Love Data Week, which we have been hosting for several years, which is February 9th through 13th. I thought February 14th was supposed to be in there, but it must be on the weekend. You can go out to dinner with your honey or stay home and watch, you know, a rom-com and throw Rotten Tomatoes at it. However you celebrate Valentine's Day, before that, you get to celebrate Love Data Week. You can adopt the data set. We are going to hold the ICPSR's data fair during Love Data Week. So that's a virtual data fair where we'll present lots of things about ICPSR data resources then. And so please keep your eye out for that and think about how you can participate yourself in Love Data Week in your own institution. We'd love to do that as well. And now I am happy to take your questions. So for those of you who are concerned that Data Jeff has a cat and not a dog, this is something which comes up regularly at ICPSR. There are people who feel very strongly about this, and I want you to know we are responsive to this as to all of your concerns, and I hope that Data Jeff will soon have. Real question. What was a personal highlight for you this year as you think about the data consortium? I would say, well, a couple things. Certainly the effort that ICPSR staff made when federal websites were going down and people were very concerned about what was happening to data access and to whether data sets were being changed. People really just stepped up and said, yes, what can I do to help? How do I make sure that these data are preserved? And across the organization, people are really committed to that, and that made me really proud. I have to say, the new website, we've been working on this new website for 2 years, both on the technical side and on the content side. Every single page got changed. Every single page got tested and retested, and every link got tested. And it's really scary to do something which is this big and this much of a change. And it required a lot of people working together. So when we launched that, and we kind of like, we were brave and we were innovative and we're doing something that when we created something that was really valuable and beautiful. And so that was also really good. I love to see people work together, and I love to see when they are able to produce something that none of us could have done. And both of these efforts, the Data Lumos effort and the new ICPSR website. If Data Jeff did get a dog, do you already know what the name will be? So the answer is no, we do not. We had a long process for selecting catalog's name. I will tell you, we had a nomination process, and ICPSR staff nominated many names. And then we had, um, a vote in which we narrowed it down to, I believe, 10 names. And then maybe we had, I don't know, maybe it was 5. Anyway, the final nominees went to council, and council selected Kavanaugh. So I don't know. We use ranked choice voting for other kinds of processes at ICPSR. I'm a big fan of ranked choice voting. Because I think it allows a lot of viewpoints to be heard. And it allows people to vote for whatever that like crazy vote type vote call without actually ending up with that name, maybe. So maybe we'll try that. Or maybe we'll have another nomination process. If the ORs would like to be able to vote on this, please let us know, and we can see about including the process as well. So absolutely, the question is, can we still donate to do the hackathons and rescue and everything? Absolutely. There's new data that comes in every single day. And some of that is data that like gets transferred to ICPSR and our staff put in there. Some of that is data that people who are working with the data rescue project put in there. Some of it is just, you know, a researcher, somebody who knows about data that's not going to be preserved, just puts it there. If you know of data, you can tell us about it, you can put it there. If you would like to contribute to Data Lumos, financially, as well as, you know, we contribute data, you can contribute financially, absolutely. There may be a link on the Data Lumos site to do that. If there's not, if you write to user support or me, we can give you the link so that you can do that. We are incredibly grateful for the support that we've gotten to preserve these data, but it is actually expensive operation. So we're particularly appreciative of financial resources. In terms of hackathons, absolutely. Let us know if you're interested. Let the Data Rescue Project know if you're interested. Sign up on their website for their communication. Get their announcements. There's lots of ways to, if you have a class or an activity that you think a group of people would like to participate in some kind of a hackathon on your campus, we would be happy to do that as well. We've done them. We did one at Georgetown. We're doing one here. We've done them here at Michigan. So there are other things. If there are questions that you have or feedback from you or for ICPSR generally that I didn't have a chance to get to, please email ICPSR. Let us know what your questions are, what your concerns are, what you love about ICPSR, what people to do that. We want to hear about the problems, but also yes. So we appreciate your love. We appreciate your participation in the data community. Thank you all so much.